to achieve this was this span tags that we use here. So this guy is what is giving us that hamburger. And if you come to our CSS, how to style that is we have our hamburger, we're saying cursor pointer. That means whenever we hover our mouse on this, it should give us a sign of clicking. You get. So that's for the hamburger. The how we are getting these bars is this particular class that we have here. So we are saying display block. If we should remove this, it's going to have to, it won't display, it will not appear. So display block means make it have the display should be visible. If we say display none, which we are, okay, yeah, if we say display none, it's going to take it out of there. So we are now using display block. We can use display flex for this and do flex direction, column, and all that. But display block would really work on this perfectly. Then this width is how long the bars will be. So if we say, for example, 250 pixels, that's how long the navbar, this hamburger will be. But 25 pixel is perfectly okay. You can decide to either want to reduce the number or increase the number. Then this height is the height of each of the bars. So if we say height 10 pixels, that will obviously increase the height of the bar. So 3 to 4 pixel is okay. Let's leave it at 4 pixel. I think 4 pixel is okay. But let's leave it at 2. Let's try 2. So I think let's just leave it at 2.5. Let's leave it at 2.5. So we have margin 5 pixels. That is for the top and bottom. If we set 0 here, there won't be spacing for the bars. The bars will be clustering each other. So they will be stacked on each other. So that's why we have a spacing there by 5 pixels. And then auto means position it in the center. We know that obviously. Then this transition is what we will use when we click on this, the effect it's going to take. So we don't want it to switch immediately to the X sign. We want it to take a little bit of delay, some kind of transition effect, like it's as if it's animating. That's what we want to do with that, with the boot transitions that we have here. Then the background color is what gives that the color. We can say red, and our hamburger becomes red, but white is more preferable. So let's say white. Now, this hamburger, we want it to be displayed none on a big screen. The display should be none. So display none. Sorry. Then on media screen, we now want it to display. So at media, at media, so at media, we want it, let me just say max width of this. Let me copy this. So most of the time, I always forget these numbers. So max width of this, we want our hamburger to display. So say dot hamburger. Then we say display. I think we're going to use block here. So by default, it doesn't display, but when we come to small screen, it's going to display. Now it's kind of like it's not displaying. It's because of what we have there. So we're also going to work on this home and all those guys. So let's look at what we call that. So this is nav menu. So we're going to select nav menu and change the flex direction. So inside of here, going to say .nav menu. So I think we didn't select the nav menu. We called it Navbar UL. Navbar UL. We're going to select that and put it right here. Navbar UL. And we're going to say flex direction. Going to change the flex direction and say column. Exactly, that's all we want to do. We're going to give it position of fixed so that even if we are scrolling, it's still there. It doesn't go out. Now it's kind of like missing. We can't find it. So what we want to do is we want to say top around, let's say 50 pixels for now. Okay, let's make it 70 pixels and let's give it a background color of cornflower blue. So this is what it looks like. Let's give it a width as well. We can say width of 100%. 100%. So we said left. Did we do left? Left 0. I'm going to say left should be 0 so that it comes to the left. So left is 0. I think the top we have to. So let's give it height as well. Height 100%. So this is 100% for height. Now let's take it up a little bit. Let's say 60% for now. Let's see what 60% looks like. Okay, this is what 60% looks like. One thing we need to do is the spacing. So we have too much space around it. We say, so over here, justify content, position fixed. So that's the gap. We have gap 4 rem. So let's reduce the gap. Let's say gap this time around 1 rem. Okay, 1 rem seems to be too small. Let's say 2 rem. Okay, so what else we want to do is we want to push it out from this point a little bit. It's kind of too close to that point. We want to push it out to around where the logo starts from. But meanwhile, we need to work on this logo as well. So let's come to where we have that logo. We said navbar should have padding of this. So let's select navbar in our small design, in our small screen. Come over to our small screen, navbar. So what we want to change is we want to change the paddings. So the navbar is okay, everything is okay. But we want to change this padding. We can say 2 rem here. Let's see what 2 rems look like. It's too much. Let's say 1. I think 1 is okay. So let's look at how we can push this a little bit further. So that should be padding left. So we can come here and say padding, like the same thing we have here. Padding, we can say 0, 1 rem. So that fixed it. So for this, we can just, since it's 1 rem, we just do 1 rem altogether. So we have something like this now. So we want to use our we'll use our JavaScript to be able to hide some things. Meanwhile, there are some things we need to add up to this so that this guy would work properly. So we need to now select each of the hamburgers. So hamburger 1, 2, and 3. We need to select by using a selector called endChild. So we've not done the endChild before, but that's what we're going to be using in this. Now you can see we have, let me get this first of all. So we say this, still inside of this responsive, this particular screen width. So max width when it's 1024 pixels. So we are saying the hamburger.active. So this .active is a class that we're going to add using JavaScript. We're going to add that class using JavaScript. So at this point, you won't see the effect for that. But let me remove this .active so you see the effect. So the idea is to hide this one. That's the idea. But we want to use it when .active has been added by JavaScript. So now you're going to see this until we click on it and it's active. That guy will not be showing there. So the next thing we want to do is we want to select the first child and change the way he appears on the screen. So at this point is appearing horizontally, but we want to make it diagonally. Yeah, I hope that English is correct. So we're saying .hamburger.active, add this, that is, we're going to add this active class by using that method, .bar endChild. So when you're doing a pseudo selector, this is called a pseudo selector. You can go ahead and read about pseudo selectors in CSS. So when you're doing this pseudo selector, you add the colon before the pseudo selector. So we are saying endChild 1. That means inside of this bar that we have here, so we have child 1, this is child 1. The next one is child 2, child 3, and if we have more, they keep increasing in the number in their order. So we are saying child 1, we should translate y. So on y-axis, please go 8 pixels and rotate 45 degree. So we are using 45 degree here. Whatever degree you're using for, so you have to pay attention to that. You might not get it right at first. So I'm removing the dot active so we see how that works. So we see how it's crossing. That's all we're going to have at the end of the day. I'm just going to copy this downward and I'm going to change this to the third child. So the third child, and then I'm going to just make this the opposite. So it's going to be minus and minus here. Then save that. So remember, we're going to add the active class is in JavaScript. The next thing we want to do is we want to quickly do our JavaScript. So to add active to this, so at this point we are saying display should be whatever. So we've done all that we need to do in the CSS for now. So let's come straight to our, okay, so something else we need to do here. We need to copy this. So I don't want this by default, I don't want this to be showing. So we don't want our navbar to be showing by default. So we're going to say left here should be around, let's say minus 100% over here. So 100% is kind of too small. Let's say minus, I hope there is something like 200% here. Okay, 200% is too much. So I'm going to say minus 150%. The idea is I want these guys not to be there until I click on this, the active will bring them. So I'm going to now select this Control C, and do something like this, dot active. So I'm adding active to that, and then I'm going to now say left should be 0. So left is not 0 now, but when we click on the active and active is now active, left will now be 0. So the next thing we want to do is, what else do we want to do? Yeah, we want to add some transition effect so that it doesn't just appear. So this is what we're going to add it. We're going to say transition. I'm going to say all. I'm going to say 0.3 seconds. I'm going to say ease in. So this is just like to add animation to it. We're going to do animation before the end of this.